Welcome to the basics of Nomad Sculpt. In this video, we'll be focusing on the tube tool. I'll walk you through each feature one by one. Whether you're a complete beginner or an experienced modeler, I've included some handy tips and tricks that you'll find useful. How to add a tube. There are two ways to add a tube. First, you can add it through the Scene menu at the top left by selecting Add. Alternatively, you can select the Tube tool directly from the right-hand toolbar. Once selected, a new bar will appear on the left. Tap Curve and draw a line on the screen to create your tube. There's also a Path mode. In this mode, you place points to define the shape first, then tap the green button to generate the tube. Editing the path. To add an editing point, simply tap on the tube's path. You can then drag these points to bend the tube. To delete a point, just drag it close to another point. You can toggle the editing controls on and off using the icon located above the Edit menu. When drawing, if your perspective shifts even slightly, the tube can end up with unintended depth. I recommend locking your view to ensure you're working on the plane you intend. Precision and snapping. Enable the grid at the bottom left and set your view to the front. If Snap is enabled in the Edit bar, your tube will snap to the grid, making it easy to create straight lines or geometric shapes. Also, if you tap an individual editing point, you can toggle it between a smooth curve and a sharp angle. Let's look at the Edit menu. First is Mirror. This creates a symmetrical version of your object. In the Scene menu, you'll see the tube is now inside a mirror group. To stop mirroring, simply drag the tube out of that group. You can also hide the mirrored side by tapping the visibility icon. The third icon from the left toggles the visibility of the editing guides, such as the radius and curve handles. Advanced snapping features. Next, let's talk about snapping. Long press the snap icon to open the menu. For this demo, I've turned on the wireframe and prepared a low-poly sphere. Select your tube and enable Snap to Surface. When you move the end of the tube near the sphere, it will stick perfectly to its surface. If you change Snap to Vertex mode, it will snap specifically to the vertices of the sphere. This is great for creating precise, repetitive patterns. By enabling Align to Normal, the tip of the tube will stay perpendicular to the surface of the object it's snapping to. Offset and Loop. The Offset function allows you to expand or shrink the overall shape while maintaining its proportions. If you snap with Offset enabled, the tube will snap slightly outside or inside the surface depending on your settings. The Closed option connects the start and end of the tube to create a continuous loop. Tap it again to disconnect them. Spline curves. When spline is turned off, the tube bends directly at the editing points. When spline is turned on, the tube curves smoothly between points, much like pulling a bowstring. Now let's look at caps. Tapping this will remove the end faces of the tube. You can also choose to have a cap on only one end. Unlike caps, the hole function gives the tube thickness while leaving the ends open. You can adjust the wall thickness using the blue circle. Tapping the icon again allows you to set different thicknesses for each end. Radius control. You can change the thickness of the tube by dragging the orange circles. Tap once sets a uniform thickness. Tap twice allows you to set different radii for the start and end. Tap 3 times lets you set a unique radius for every single editing point. The profile feature, cross sections, is incredibly powerful. It allows you to change the cross section of your tube. By editing the graph on the screen, the tube's shape changes in real time. If you turn off Closed in the profile settings, you can create flat, ribbon-like shapes. Setting the profile to a rectangle creates a flat belt. You can even use this to add ridges or grooves. X/Y enables symmetry for the profile shape. Join toggles the snap to delete behavior for profile points. Move/rotate adjusts the section's position and orientation relative to the axis. Scale/center changes the overall size or recenters the profile. Tap the Expand icon to enlarge the profile editor for more detailed work. There are 2 snapping options here, one for aligning with existing vertices and the other for the grid. You can even customize the grid spacing. Don't forget to save your custom shapes. Tap New in the presets to store shapes you use often. Twist and spiral. By dragging the pink circle, you can twist the tube. Tap Twist again to add a second axis. Tap it once more to apply twisting to every individual editing point. Increasing the division X value will make the twisted surface look much smoother. You can also use profile icons to vary the cross-section along the path. 2 icons lit, different shapes for the start and end. Three icons lit, different shapes for every individual editing point. The spiral function allows you to twist the tube while maintaining its height. Adjusting the offset creates a gap from the center axis. And ratio changes the cross-section scale. Combining profile shapes with spiral is how you create things like soft-serve ice cream. Topology and primitives. Finally, let's talk about topology. The max faces setting determines the detail level. The default limit is 500,000. Post-subdivision splits all faces to create a smooth look. The ends will become rounded and dome-like. Since each face is split into 4, the face count increases rapidly. Linear subdivision simply cuts the faces. It maintains sharp edges and flat ends. By adjusting the topology settings and combining these subdivision methods, you can create tubes with perfectly rounded or perfectly flat ends. Nomad Sculpt is an incredibly intuitive app for 3D modeling. I encourage you to experiment and try out different tutorials. I create these videos to help support your creative journey, so if you found this helpful, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching.